This is Beta Flex in the Le Terrible, the Tier 8 French destroyer. Beta, I believe, used a Cover My Replay to force us to take a look at this one. Now, Le Terrible, is this the tech tree or the premium?
The premium. The tech
The
tree is
premium.
fantastic.
Thank you. I always get the two of them mixed up because, you know, whatever. Le Terrible came out first as a test bed for the entire line, and Wargaming said we kind of like it. There's a couple of little nuanced differences between Le Fantasque and Le Terrible, but if you're comfortable in one, you're typically comfortable in both. Very fast, good 139 millimeter guns that can actually smash things that are broadside with AP, like light cruisers, even heavy cruisers up close and personal. You get the access to main battery reload booster. Very good for destroyer play because you can set something on fire when they DCP, use reload booster, set them on fire again. You've got workable torpedoes. What's the range on them? Is it 8? Yeah.
8.
Yes.
Yep. So overall, a good destroyer. Now, if I remember correctly, the French destroyer line, their big gimmick, of course, is that the hull gets saturated quicker. So as it takes more damage, it takes less damage with HE shells, and it allows the destroyers to live longer. Does that also apply to Le Terrible?
Yes.
Thought so. Okay, just want to make sure that we are accurate when we're talking about the characteristics. So if you get a Le Terrible in in a Santa crate or whatever, fantastic ship. I think you'll really enjoy it. And if you do, then that tells you need to go up the French destroyer line. Actually, lines now that there's two of them. But yeah, let's get into the build. Actually, before we get to that, Betaflex, do you enjoy this ship a lot?
That's been my go-to for bronze ranked this entire ranked season, or at least at the second half of the ranked season. I would just go straight in with Le Terrible, and my main goal with Le Terrible is counter DD operations.
Okay.
Gouge out their eyes, make the enemy team suffer.
I love it.
The main difference between the Terrible and Fantasque is the Fantasque has more gun range. The Terrible has better gun reload.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think the Fantasque has a longer duration speed boost. And the Fantasque has the faster torpedoes.
Yeah, there's some nuances between the two, but for the most part, when I've played the two of them, I haven't really felt like, oh, this one is better than this one. You know, like they have their trade-offs.
The most significant is the gun reload. Like it's like a second quicker on the Terrible. That's noticeable.
Mm-hmm. Because
noticeable.
she didn't get nerfed compared to the French destroyer line when going through testing and stuff.
I don't think the Fantasque got nerfed. I think it has always been that way.
Okay, so but what I mean is they put this ship out first, and then Wargaming made the tech tree based off of how this ship performed. So I wouldn't be surprised if they said, "Oh, the guns are overperforming, and so we're going to release. We're going to put the guns at a bit of a nerf on the tech tree version." And this is from an era when Wargaming said we will not nerf premium ships. That was still the thing for them. So anyway, Armac says, Kid, Fantasque, Terrible, Orcon are great fun in ranked for killing destroyers. Yes. The big thing I'm curious about in ranked, and I felt it a little bit when I played Kiev, do you feel, Betaflex, and maybe we're going a little ahead of ourselves, but with the Ipiranga now, and its secondaries and the funny button that extend the range of secondaries, do you feel like that battleship is much more of a threat to you and your gameplay now in a destroyer?
To a significant extent, yes. Because of Ipiranga's funny button, Ipiranga having full-blown German secondary range with their secondaries. All the secondaries can also pen you as well.
Yeah.
So, given the fast reload and the full extent of it, and while having that phenomenal buff that the whole tech tree got right before the release,
Yes.
they're difficult to torpedo. They're difficult to engage in open water. You got to be careful around them. If you're going to engage, make sure you have an out.
And that was my thing for when I played Kiev, because I like to play long-range gunboat, and I found that my long range wasn't long range enough when dealing with that stupid thing. So I was just curious if you found the same thing. I'm glad to hear that I wasn't being crazy or turning crazy. But anyway, let's take a look at your build now and see how it works. So you've got main armaments mod 1, engine boost modification 1, main battery mod 2 for your turret traverse. So, okay, you don't like the standard. And for you, because when you're playing closer to things, you want to make sure that your guns turn quicker for like knife fighting and stuff, right? Because you said you want to
Yep.
kill the destroyer.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
18 seconds is a bit of a pain.
Mm-hmm.
And depending on the build, you don't have room for grease the gears.
Yep.
Okay.
Because RPF.
Yep. And RPF will help you because you can pre-turn, so that helps. But then when you're in that knife fight, it's good to have that extra couple seconds of savings there for your turrets. And then you've gone into propulsion mod, which makes sense because you're gonna play like stop and go games with the ship, especially with the engine boost. And then you've got concealment. Makes perfect sense. For commander, you've gone with Honore. Abanyu is a choice as well. You have to decide between buff survivability expert or buffed adrenaline rush, and Abanyu of course has the talents too.
Yep. The funny thing is that my Obenu is actually spec for Colbert with range. So
Okay.
my backup was going with Honore with RPF. And while I do miss out on the improved survivability expert and Obenu's buffs, on the other hand, Honore with that improved adrenaline rush. Yep.
If you're planning on playing this ship as a Death Blossom, that being you find the enemy destroyer, you go in, yet with the singular focus of I will kill my opponent, and then whatever happens after, I don't care. I've done my job. Then it makes perfect sense to go with Honore, right? Because you're gonna go in, you're gonna kill that, and maybe do a little bit extra damage, maybe kill something else in the process, but your goal is the one-on-one trade, right, with that other destroyer. Okay, so you get a buffed adrenaline rush. You've got the core build here of preventative maintenance, last stand, hey Hujam, survivability expert, and concealment. There is no heal on the ship, so there's not really a need for superintendent, especially if you're planning on being that Death Blossom early in the game. You probably won't last long enough to need that extra charge of everything else. The only thing that's nice is the main battery reload booster for these destroyers, since you don't have a heal. Not necessary, so I get you there. You've gone for Fearless Brawler, so if you are detected, your guns automatically have a 10% better main battery reload time, and since there's no smoke for you to hide in, hey, just go straight guns.
Free.
Yep.
Well, so Neil highlighting this thing here, saying why not using the one skill turret traverse? He could. In order to do that, he'd probably need to drop Fearless Brawler and pick up, say, Mabas. So that's 5% versus 10% for main battery reload time, but that would get you the buffed turret traverse for Grease the Gears, and that would take you to a very sexy 13 seconds versus 15.7.
Not worth it.
Honestly, you need the gun DPM, and if you are, well, yeah, I mean, you could pick up aiming mod, I suppose, but if you're getting into a situation where your goal is to nuke an enemy destroyer right away, you need all the DPM you can get. So, Fearless Brawler with that extra 5% main battery reload time can absolutely make or break your gunfight with another destroyer.
I do agree though,
So
like
that's the
if
thing.
you have the radio location, you probably don't need the turret traverse mod, since you can pre-aim and you could still take the aiming systems. I know the 18 seconds isn't great, but radio location lets you get away with it, I think.
Yeah, an aiming system can certainly help. I think the bigger thing is for Beta, once he gets into the fight, he needs to be able to turn, and if he's so close to enemy destroyers anyways.
I was using the gun mod first, the turret traverse mod first, and I eventually switched to the aiming system. And I get it, it's annoying having the 18 seconds.
It
But I
depends on
think
how.
it's overall still better to get the extra hits in with the aiming systems.
It really depends on how
close,
close
though.
you're engaging. That's
Yep.
what it boils down to. Because if
Yep.
you're engaging from farther range, you don't need the turret traverse as much. When you're engaging closer range, though, that can bite you, and I've had that bite me way too many times.
It's
Yes.
probably, I don't use the radio location. I have AFT. I'm usually playing it a little bit further back.
I mean, and
Yep.
if not playing with RPF, can always drop RPF for Fearless Brawler, and that's basically the standard maximum DPM build.
Yeah. I think I like what Grunty said a moment ago. If you didn't catch it, he says, from my experience, and I think it's really important. Everybody experiences this game differently. So you have to pick out how you play, and then you build based off of that. Armored Prayer says, what about dropping the module for survivability? You're talking about preventative maintenance. You could, but to me, even if it's a buffed skill, the preventative maintenance is just so helpful in keeping your engines alive, and you live or die by your engines in this ship, and also your guns and torpedoes. So I think preventative maintenance has a really important place to put it. And it's a great question. Dennis put the camo on the Harbin. Congratulations. Enjoy the Harbin. Okay. Well, I think we've kind of beat the build to death here. And this is ranked. You've only chosen to use 2 flags. Are you trying to conserve flags?
I tend to conserve flags on the regular. I keep forgetting to put all the flags on, but Charlie Kilo and Sierra Mike, those are pretty much the 2 go-tos right there. The other ones can help. Like if you're going to face a ramming situation, I mean, the ram flag's always a good choice with the DD.
Oh yeah.
Flags for fire chance, flag for reducing the consumable reload time. Those help, but really it's just these two right here are your bread and butter.
I would also say fire reduction is huge for you because you don't have the ability to disengage via smoke. So making sure that fires reduce or fires don't burn as long is very important for you.
True, that is 8 seconds to consider.
Yeah. So, yeah, ramming flag is cheap, so you can absolutely put it on auto on. Just make sure it's auto reimbursing in credits and not coal or whatever. I remember the days when it would reimburse in doubloons. Ugh. Anyway, it's good stuff. And ranked bronze is so, like, just forehead on keyboard stupid that you can get away with just doing this and not worrying about it. Now, if you're in silver and your goal is to rank out of silver, then I could say you try hard with the flags, right? If you want to get to gold. So
you want to go the mile, treat it like clan battles. Bring your best.
Exactly. Clan battles is most important for you for most people. Not all, but I'd say figure out what mode is most important for you, and then you figure out your flags accordingly. And yes, Charlie Kilo is great for every damn ship. Side note, when Wargaming said, "Hey, we're removing detonations," all of us were really excited to hear that. They didn't tell us about the Charlie Kilo, and then we saw it. We're like, "Oh my God, are you serious? You're gonna add a flag instead?" Okay, all right. Well, you guys do you.
Replacing one mandatory flag with another mandatory flag.
And that was the reaction. That was absolutely the reaction. The first thought was, great, now we are freed up to put another flag on instead. And the reaction instead was, okay, fine. Now, and if you think about it too, you could make the argument that is also a buff to anything that farms damage, right? Because there's more hit points for them to farm across the board. Anyway, let's get to your replay. So you've got, this is a ranked battle, as we said. Congratulations, you found a sub on each team. There is no carrier, though, so, okay, that's good for you.
Yep, and the sub thing, there'll be a moment later. I'll ask later if we can do a pause, because there's one moment later.
Okay.
I actually had to make a quick choice.
Okay.
And it's one I want to emphasize on.
Good. So, North Carolina, Bismarck, Monarch, whatever. I mean, there's no Ipiranga, so I'm sure you were like celebrating that moment.
Yes.
Yep. Schlieffen gets, let's give it more HP. What could go wrong? Exactly. You prefer to roll the dice on the dead. Yeah.
Speed boost straight to the lone cap. I usually don't like it, but I like it in this case.
Yeah.
Because you're so much faster than the opposing destroyers, and you will be able to outgun both of them.
53 knots he's going.
Getting to that cap first is actually really beneficial because you have a chance to get it.
Yes.
Yep. It lets me set myself up in position so that I can ambush the destroyer and also try to get good spotting at a more advantageous, more aggressive position.
Yep.
As you'll see when I get to the C cap.
You could pre-torp right now.
This gap, yeah.
That's what I would do right now. I would have torped immediately on reload at the extent of the island and just to the right of it. You might catch that destroyer out with it. Or you could also torp this direction, on the other side of the island before you enter the sea cap is another good choice.
Yeah, but I did see that. I think I may have launched the torps right here. Yep. Here you go. I'm thinking about the torps. Because I did think earlier to do that, but I wasn't confident about the 8 kilometer. So I was like, let's wait a little bit. And there you go.
Now,
These are too far back, though.
A nuanced thing, that's true. They're also right on top of each other. So I would suggest you spread it out a little bit more, because what you're trying to do here isn't necessarily get the kill. The kill would be great. The kill would be fun. But one torpedo hit has a huge impact on the fight that comes after. So I would spread it out more. Also, I would put it to the left first and then to the right. You want to hit the torpedo in front of them. So if you have it to the right and then left, if you think about it from the destroyer's perspective, the first thing they're going to do when they see the torp is they're going to turn towards the torp. They're going to turn left towards the torp. If you have the torp farther out to the left and then the next one to the right, you kind of have a bigger net, if you will, to catch them with.
It makes sense. They're more likely to slow down and speed up.
Yes.
Doesn't pre-torp scream, hey, look, down. You're heading in the cap anyway. They know you're here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They know it's the Le Terrible too, because nothing else would have gotten there fast.
Well,
Also,
and
look at the alley behind me, by the way.
Yeah. So these torpedoes have like 2 points. One is like if you get a lucky hit, you get a lucky hit. The other one is you actually want to make it so that the enemy destroyer is discouraged to get in. You
Correct.
kind of want to get this cap first before you fight.
yes, even if you don't hit the destroyer with a torpedo, the torpedo itself is going to force them to probably react in some way, slow down or turn, in which case they slow down too. And you're absolutely right. You get the cap first, then you come out and say, surprise! And as far as the discussion going, one other thing you guys haven't mentioned, he's got radio location. So that means that whatever ship he's pinging right now with radio location knows that there's something with radio location looking right at him. Now, it might not be Le Terrible. It could be the Benson. That immediately tells already, hey, there's somebody heading this direction.
It's probably not, because the enemy actually got their cap first. If it was the Phantas going for the home cap, they would have had it first.
It's the Kagro. Now, notice where the Kagro ended up in relation to your torps. Way off. Again, Grunty mentioned you fired a little bit too close to the island. You should have been farther forward anticipating. Either way, it doesn't matter. He's out there and derped into your range and even let you cap. He could have shot you right away.
Yep, and no my alley behind me, because guess what he has to deal with now?
Yeah, Borodino, he radars. Even if he didn't radar, you'd still kill him, because you're just going to keep shooting into his smoke until you find him. It's what we call French radar, and you just keep shooting him.
Yep, and right there, we just own the cap.
Not only did you get the cap, but it also caught the Benson on the other side, too.
You were lucky that you get the cap, though. That was very close.
Yeah, you would have been better served staying behind the island until you got the cap, then come out.
Take a look at the enemy team's position, though. Look at where all their BBs are.
Yep. That's standard. That's typical for Bronze. So in Bronze, you have the Apes Together Strong strat, where everybody wants to go together. Especially if they're secondary battleships, they almost always stick together. So, and for secondary battleships, sadly, that actually works for them, right? Because it intensifies all of their secondaries at once on whatever target they're trying to run over. So it is what it is. But yeah, I think if you weren't willing to stay behind the island to start, at least get to the very back edge of the cap, just so that your concealment doesn't work against you and get you spotted earlier. Like it didn't matter in this case, right? Like whatever.
Right. If you had an alley there, though, that could be a problem.
Exactly my point. Yes. So, just little tidbits, little nitpicky things to mention.
May not apply here, but every battle scenario changes, and you have to account for what you're dealing with. Now, coming up soon, when you see the submarine pop up on the mini map, that's where we need to pause, because it'll be a crucial moment where I had to make a choice.
Oh, I already know what the choice is going to be. Do you go for the Benson or do you go for the sub? Because you're detected right now. There he is. So it took until now for this guy to appear. Now, there's a couple of things to inform your decision. One, radio location is pointing this way, which means the Benson is closer to you. Two, you've been spotted, and it's right in front of the Borodino if you look at the mini map. If the Borodino is smart, he's going to shoot him and ASW. Go ahead.
That Borodino is number 3. That Borodino is actually a large reason why I made my choice, because I could have gone around the island to pinch the Benson.
Yep.
But if I went around the island to pinch the Benson, 3 battleships are right there. If any of them pay attention, I could be in a world of hurt. So,
Yes.
Yeah, so
but more importantly, because our sub's all the way in A cap, our sub's not going to help kill this sub. Borodino, I want to keep him alive as much as possible.
Mm-hmm.
So
The other
you'll see. Yep, go ahead.
The other consideration is if the Benson is going left, based off what your radio location is telling you, he's going this direction, then you have the ability to turn this way, and he can't come to support you until he comes all the way around the island anyway.
Yep.
So that works well for you too.
Yep.
I would 100% continue left there, and I wouldn't even think about it twice.
I agree with
did.
Betaflex. I'd go for the sub.
Yep, and that's what I do here. So as you continue, I went straight for the sub because I wasn't just thinking about the Benson. I was thinking about protecting the Borodino as much as possible.
Yep.
Pressure
Now,
on the sub means the sub cannot do much.
if the Benson and the sub were together, then I agree with Grunty. I'd continue around the island because there's no way you're going to be able to deal with both at the same time. But we'll see. And then there was a comment in chat. Armac said, if I'm a thinking man playing the battleship in bronze, should I generally split off to create a crossfire or throw my weight behind the apes? If you're a thinking man in ranked bronze in a ship that benefits from generating crossfires, do it. If you're in a secondary ship, there's a slight argument for sticking together with the apes together strong strat. But if you're, say, playing a Vladivostok, for example, or North Carolina, splitting off is great because most of the time the enemy team is going to be focused on the 2 battleships in front of them and not you on the side. There is a caveat to that. You have to make sure that those 2 other ships, those 2 other battleships, have decided to commit to going that flank before you turn off. Otherwise, they'll look at you, go, oh, and then they'll follow you, which gets very frustrating. Anyway. Now, what you could do is you could dump your torps left as you turn. The chances of hitting are low, but hey, you might as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I didn't think of at that time, though.
I'm just worried here if you pop out because, like, the Benson surely has torp towards the Borodino, no? And you're coming right in.
If the Benson's thinking I'm going to kill this guy, he's going to save his torps for the terrible.
Yep, so keep
There's
my
the
guns
radar.
trained.
He's not going for you.
Whoops.
What the hell is he doing?
He's over. Yeah, I had trouble finding him. I was like, oh, he's over there. So that explains it.
Wait, you thought there's no
Okay.
way the Benson was ever gonna do that.
So he does go
Those
for
are
the torp.
torpedoes.
Well, good thing you're fast, huh?
Yep. And then just open up on him. Some issues with aiming, but
Whatever.
skill issue.
It's also you don't have the aiming systems, right? So at longer range, it's much harder to hit a destroyer. But the big thing is you've got a friend. So
that friend just met them.
yep.
Enemy destroyer blown up.
Yep. So we, the 2 of us together just took out 2 DDs, and like I said, my bigger focus: subs are paying for battleships. I'm a paying for subs. I'm going to bring the pain to the sub so that my Borodino can get right in and help the flank that apparently started falling apart.
So you're heading south here thinking that the enemy sub is continuing south.
Yep.
Funny thing is here, you made this decision to turn right to save your battleship from the submarine, and neither of you has fired a single shot at that submarine.
Yeah, because he went down, he went and dove. So
Yep. So he went and dove, and the Benson was our first target. The sub's the second target. Borodino threw the ASW that way in front of him. I had a feeling the sub was behind, and here it comes.
yep, you got to think about what the sub is trying to do. He's going to maneuver in a position to get a shot on Borodino, and he's behind. So that's fine. I mean, you can chill all day and wait for the damn sub to surface if necessary. Now, going back to Grunty's comment, you didn't shoot the sub. Yeah, you had a better target, right? The Borodino radared and caught the Benson. Shoot the Benson.
I'm so surprised the sub is here. I thought the sub goes straight under the Borodino to the sea cap to cap it. That's what I thought the sub would be doing.
Yep. And
He might have done that.
The moment I clipped the sub with 1 ASW, I pinged right on the map for the Borodino to drop ASW.
Mm-hmm. Look at teamwork. What do you know?
Yep, and I thought the sub was still here because it looked like the sub may have beached. And then I find out later, it's like, wait, where did the sub go?
Well,
So
you got
have,
3
like,
splash damages.
Yep, so splashing here, and then about here is where I stopped splashing, so I'm scratching my head. Oh, there's the sub.
Yeah, the oil slick kind of gives it away.
Yep,
And now
I
he
beached.
pings.
Yep, he pings while spilling oil. I beached.
Yeah, the Borodino is pretty alert. That is true. He is part of TSOF, and those people generally are pretty good players. Good team players, especially.
And just a sheer amount of pressure we put on that sub, too. You're going to see the sub ran out of battery.
Yeah, and that's typically what happens, especially with lower tier subs. They don't know how to manage their battery properly. Frankly, I don't either. I don't have a lot of experience with it. So, and that's what I was saying about you can just wait for him to surface, because once he does, okay, well, you got him anyway.
Yep, and yeah, I don't even bother reload booster on this one. I take basically overpin damage right there, and he's cooked.
Yep. One of my favorite things to do with subs is actually reverse shotgun. You wait for them to surface right next to you, and you torp them. How does it feel, sub?
Yeah, but at this point, they have no more eyes on the field. It's all just battleships, and if you look at the map, 2 of them are already in the I-1, I-2 area. So it's just North Carolina stuck with sub and Borodino.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yep.
mean,
So long-range
those
gunnery.
battleships and your Anhalt didn't really understand the map, but
Yep, so unfortunately, those 2 battleships, like our 2 battleships are dead. I forget
whatever.
how we lost our DD. The sub gets caught by the North Carolina, and it's going to go down. And at this point,
matter.
I'm just providing support fire for the Borodino, just to help bring the North Cal down as fast as possible. And I got plenty of health with French saturation. I'm willing to put my health on the line.
Well,
if I'll have the Borodino live, I'm willing to take a look at heat.
And now's the time you have to do it, because the other 2 battleships can't support. So this is when you want to engage in this 2v1. Somebody said, Snowmongoose said, subs not showing up on radio location while submerged is dumb. Yes and no. I mean, I can understand why Wargaming didn't put that in. I like the fact that they do show up, though, when they get, what, is it periscope depth and unsurfaced?
Yep.
It would be completely broken if they did show up.
Yeah.
Like, honestly.
Because then the destroyer would just follow it until it starts spinning.
Submarine then, if you...
About which way the sub goes. If Beta doesn't cover Borodino 6, sub can sandwich Borodino where the battleship goes forward and he runs into 3 enemy battleships. Right, exactly. Yep, and that's why Beta went the way he did. Now, North Carolina using HE, which is smart, does force your DCP. The nice thing, though, is it takes his focus off the Borodino, gives the Borodino time to heal up a little.
Yep. Now that I'm a little bit out of range for North Carolina to actually focus me, North Cal will now start dumping on the Borodino. And then at this point, I just gotta get North Cal dead, because North Cal is...
Yeah.
Like, North Cal could actually shoot me if the Borodino goes down. The other 2 battleships, I'm not even worried.
Hey, Cosmos.
Honestly, it doesn't even matter at this point. There is no way they're getting to all the caps in time to win this. Even if your Borodino dies, you just have to live.
The biggest problem is that... Okay, he goes down. I was going to say, him changing the North Carolina changing to you caused him to, not kill the Borodino, but he does actually get it, so...
Yep,
with the help of the
it
Monarch.
just bought enough time for the trade.
You win it simply on the C cap, and there's no way they're getting there.
Yep.
And just like I posted in the game chat, it's like, I'm out of here.
Bye, guys. Oh, and then the Borodino says our team through. Lol. That's when what you do is you respond and say, well, if you want, I can turn around. Don't make me pull over this bus right now.
Like,
What's
I
up,
think in the
Bokako?
end, though, like, coming back to the decision of turning right or left there, I think the outcome overall would have been exactly the same.
Yeah, it would have been.
Just
He would have had less danger to the torpedoes, but you don't know exactly where the Benson's going. I thought the Benson was going to follow the island and just come right into you.
And at that time, the
Benson would be
battleship.
very dumb if he does that against the Fantask. I guess.
I disagree.
Bronze.
Because for a Fantask, I mean, fighting a Fantask, in a Benson, you want to be as close to that thing as possible so you can kill it.
You won't, though. Reload booster.
Yep, and then there was also the case of the battleships. They were still in a position that could crossfire. I mean, if I didn't pay attention to them, a random BB shell, even AP, will still hurt.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a win, and it's a hell of a win, so good job there. Nice damage, 3 kills. This is the kind of carry that's needed in bronze ranked, unfortunately. Any rank thereabout as it is, so hopefully you complimented at the very least the Borodino.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. The Turpitz, well, he's just there to have fun. Poor guy.
I mean, the Turpitz is the equivalent to their Kagero, like charging in blind.
But the Kagero, I understand
Borodino
that
must have
decision.
been
But
spotted at this point, so he probably didn't know Borodino has radar because Borodino is rare. Almost nobody plays it.
he was already turned out and ready to kite away. I think the bigger problem was he just got too close to CCAP, got himself spotted, and at that point, popped his smoke thinking he'll be safe. And then Borodino said, no, you're not. But like I said, at that point, even if the Borodino didn't have radar, Beta was going to get the kill anyways, just hitting into the smoke until he gets the hit, and then boom, he's just going to focus on that. That's French radar for you.
Yep, and if I was not getting the hits, my next thing would have been just use my French speed, just get right in there and finish the job.
Exactly, especially once you've seen that he's dumped his torpedoes, he's got nothing to stop you.
Yep.
Nothing to stop you. Exactly right, Armac. That's what Beta just said. So let's go ahead and take a look at the replay render. And I'd love to get from you or anybody in chat what we should title this replay should it make it to YouTube. Well, you thank Kagro for that, and also Kagro can choose between smoke and reload booster, can't he?
Yep.
Yes.
So by popping the smoke, you also thank him for saying, hey, thanks for not torping me. Team play. Team play works.
Well, that's an idea. Navy of 2.
Navy of 2? I like
Have
that.
you ever heard like the game Army of 2? Where it's
Yep.
like it's that co-op game. Yep, same type of idea. Because it's basically me and Borodino the whole game.
Batteries run out. Batteries not included. Reload booster is great for CAG if you know how to play it, and in ranked I would absolutely go for reload booster with CAG. But whatever.
I love reload booster over smoke for these side chair destroyers.
I'll admit,
But then
one thing-
again, I wouldn't play Kagero in ranked. I think it's a little bit too weak.
Yeah, this is one thing I need to improve on, though. I definitely need to improve my torpedo game because I even with North Carolina, torps missed, and I realized personally that my torp skill really needs work.
Yeah, well,
I just can't figure it out.
so I didn't comment on it. When you torp the North Carolina, you torp to his right and to his left, figuring he's got to turn. But if you think about it from the North Carolina's perspective, he's locked into a bow-on perspective because of the Borodino right in front of him. He can't afford to turn. So in that situation, what I might have done is fired one rack of torps and waited until I got on his side to fire the other rack in that particular engagement. And then,
I mean, you have 3 racks on the terrible. You just
Yeah,
have to
you could-
utilize both of your sides, right?
yeah, you'd have to turn, but yes, you could do that too. 8-kilometer Shima is a good way to learn torp skills. Well, that's true. But, the other thing is I kind of shared with you how I would have approached that radio location pre-torping going into sea. That's the other thing is don't be afraid to do that. And then, think of like you want to hit it in front and then behind of where they're going to be because the behind is what's going to typically kill them. So. All right. Otherwise, great replay. I don't know if there's anything else to really comment on there. Are we good?
I think we hit all the bases there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for supporting the stream beta, and appreciate the replay.
And thank you for running the replay review.
No problem.